In the book, I talk about it is like when I in normal life before that would say, I need to be alone, what would I do? I would go into my room and I would probably find a way to be with others through the TV or through, whatever. Like we're rarely alone because even when we are not with other live humans, like in the flesh, we probably are with other humans through media.
It's so true. And we can easily we even take a shit and we bring our phone.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
Yes.
You see people at restaurants all the time, like, just going to go to the bathroom and they have to bring their phone.
Yeah, they bring their phone. And then when they get up, the other person on the other side of the table is like clamoring.
Right.
So when I'm out there and the cell phone like doesn't work and I'm probably, based on where they were flying, I'm probably 40 miles from any human in any direction. Like that's a trip.
40 miles.
40 miles. That's
so no lights. Like you can't see any lights.
You mean from a city?
Like just in general. Like there's not like a building,
Oh
off
God,
in the
no. No.
That must have been freaking
No,
wild.
we're more than 100 miles away from any built environment, like at all. So you fly there and then you fly to the next spot. So in that middle point, you're like really alone. And it hits you like, okay, this is another level of alone.
Yeah.
And like, have I really been, like I'm at that point, how old was I? I'm 36 now. So I would have been like 33 maybe.
And you don't have an out.
You don't have an out.
Yeah. That's an interesting to create as a contained initiation. Like that you don't have an out from yourself.
You don't have an out from yourself. You got no one to talk to. You got nothing to distract yourself. You're just there with your head and no one else. Like no one else. I'd never experienced that before.
Yeah, you talk about that, about like you were referencing the space that people go into, like the quietest place in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can you speak more to that and then what you found when you were all of a sudden just like reading labels and shit, anything to...
Yeah. So the quiet thing is fascinating because you're so far from civilization, it is a level of quiet that is alarming and uncomfortable at first, but once you get over that, it is like the most calming thing ever. So, for example, one morning, and I read about this in the book, I get out of our teepee thing that we're staying in. It's basically a tent. And I walk out on the tundra and I'm just standing there and it is like so silent. And I just hear this, and I'm like, what in the hell is it? Like, it's the loudest thing I've ever heard. And it's just like raving behind me. But because my hearing has been reset to such a low level.
Oh, wow. Like you're so attuned.
The wings are making this noise that sounds like a freaking helicopter. Like it's crazy. If you're wearing, one of the guys had a watch it was a quartz watch. So it ticked. And he's like out there alone. And he starts going like, it's like, dude, I'm out there and I like heard this something. And I like thought it was a bear breaking twigs or something. It's like, it was my watch. It was my watch ticking. That's how loud it sounds. Because you're hearing so like reset. There's a place in the book that I read about. The actual place is in Minneapolis. Like this just random building.
Of all the places.
Of all the places.
Right.
It's a random building. And what they have inside it is a thing called an anechoic chamber. So it is essentially like a totally sound killing room. And it's the quietest place in the world. And what happens when you put people in there is at first they freak out. They're like, this is weirding me out. It's so quiet. But once they go through that, it almost seems to help people feel better. They've used it as a treatment. They're going to start using it as a treatment for vets with PTSD because it like really calms
Their
people once you're in silence.
Calm down. Yeah.
And now that you know that, loudness is associated with anxiety, humans have increased the world's loudness fourfold. Most people live at 70 decibels, which is basically
Is that like a city?
That's like standing next to a working washing machine. It's just constantly around us. People who live near loud roads, they have a 25% higher incidence of anxiety and depression. So basically, when you think about loud noises, in the past as we evolved, any loud noise is bad. It's an animal. It's going to kill you. It's a storm that's going to kill you. It's a rock falling down a hill that's going to kill you, right?
Yeah.
So our natural inclination is that when we hear loud noises, you get ramped up, right? If someone comes up behind you and claps, you go, whoa. Now that we've elevated the world's noise to a certain level, it seems to be this like low-level stressor on people.
That makes sense.
That we almost don't really notice it's there, but when you start to dig into the research, like they've tied a lot of stress and health problems to the fact that we're just in this constant noise all the time. So a good takeaway from that is if you want like a takeaway you can do at home that's easy, is try to find time for silence, because you might be uncomfortable in it at first. I mean, like no music. You could even put earplugs in and just like sit and work and have some ideas. People tend to be more productive in silence when they compare people who work in silence versus noise. You tend to get better ideas because they're more uninfluenced. So, yeah.
Do you find like when your hearing was becoming so attuned, which is wild to think you're hearing
That was weird.
like the sound of a wing, or you talk about your carotid too, right?
Oh, if you stand there and don't move, I would start to hear like your lungs, like you really hear your breathing, and you start to hear your blood moving up your arteries into your brain. It's like,
That's like a whole nother.
oh, it's wacko.